I think. Well, Joan actually flew there during that trip and took a look around, and there wasn't any place to land, but she completed it to the flight, and subsequently received the Harmon Trophy for the Aviatrix, the Worldwide Aviatrix of the Year, the Harmon Trophy. Shortly after that, I had told...
That was about 1964, right?
Yeah, 64, yeah, 63, 64. She had, I had notified the Navy I was going to retire, because when she finished, we had a great plan to go into business and use her notoriety we were going to set up a specialized air taxi service for businesses only, to have airplanes and pilots ready when they were ready. Don't have to fool with the airlines. And we had financial backers and everything. Well, lo and behold, she was flying that same plane she flew around the world. We were using that now. She was flying somebody to Las Vegas, and those airplanes had a gasoline-powered gasoline heater in the nose that heated the airplane at altitude. And that heater caught fire, and the smoke came roaring through the airplane and filling the cabin, and they opened the doors and tried to get some, and they just were choking and everything else. And so they were in the mountains, somewhere between Las Vegas and Long Beach, and they elected to put it down on a pipeline and maintenance road, and so wheels up. So they went in wheels up and successfully landed and practically destroyed the airplane. And her passenger, who was some young millionaire, he actually had to pull her out of the airplane. She got a bump on her head. She was dazed, and he pulled her out, and then we lost the airplane. It was a historic airplane at that time. So later on, not long after that, one of the aviation writers, who's also a young female pilot, Trixie Ann Schubert, was doing a story of her flight and around the world, and actually it had a short story is published in Saturday Evening Post, as a matter of fact. It's there now. And Trixie Ann and Joan were over the Ord Mountains in east of San Diego, and all of a sudden there was extreme turbulence. That's you'll find out flying around the mountains. And the upper attached fitting of one of the wings broke, and the wing folded alongside of the airplane, and the airplane augered in and hit on a 7,000-foot level above the sea, and destroyed the airplane, and both girls perished. And so that's about the time, shortly after that she received the Harmon Trophy. By that time I was in country Vietnam, and actually the Navy flew me back to Washington to the White House to receive from the Vice President her recognition for that. And I got a 2-week break at Christmas time in the middle of my 1-year tour in Vietnam, in country Vietnam.
Vice President would have been Lyndon Johnson?
Pardon?
Vice President was Lyndon Johnson?
No, Humphrey.
Humphrey?
Yeah, Hubert Humphrey. And what they did there, they recognized the balloonist of the year worldwide, the military pilot worldwide, a civilian pilot, and a female pilot. And she was selected as a female aviatrix of the year of the Harmon Trophy. Are you familiar with the Harmon Trophy? That's an interesting thing if you want to look it up sometime, the Harmon Trophy. Anyway, then my world would come to an end. I thought I'd already told Washington I wanted to retire. And so I said, the only thing I got left is my Navy career, really. So I canceled that request and then went in country. That was part of it, with some kind of a, what if I don't make it? Don't make any difference. You know, I had that attitude. I guess I was depressed, I presume. Didn't know it. The Navy was foolish to send me that soon after losing my wife, who was fairly well known by then. But anyway, that turned out to be a good assignment.
You did some psychological tracks or pamphlets or something like that?
What I did in Vietnam, I had one of my friends, a fellow CO of a minesweeper, had been transferred. He was serving in the Great Combat Information Center for the war in Vietnam in Saigon, and they needed another naval officer there. So that's what I applied for. But when I got there, they said, no, we have a greater need than that. And so the on-scene commander said, we've never had a naval officer in psychological warfare. And they have a battalion of Vietnamese, 500-man sized battalion located in the outskirts of Saigon. And we had like 25 American advisors, different skills like printing and radio broadcasting and all kinds of stuff. Preparing thematic scenes, trying to get the Viet Cong to Chu Hoi, in other words, come south. Anyway, I went there, and lo and behold, I was immediately the senior advisor because I was a senior one. I hadn't been to SIWAR school or anything. But I had some really, really good officers, and they did a splendid job. We did a good job, and it was successful. But it was them, not me.
Leadership.
I was the boss. Anyway, and so from there, I came directly to Air Command and Staff College here in Montgomery.
Maxwell.
And when I got back to the West Coast, I weighed about 135 pounds, and I had dysentery or something similar to that the whole time I was over there. We traveled with the Vietnamese, and if they're traveling on land, they don't carry food with them. They buy the food off as they go, and that food is all. It's good. It tastes good, and I always carried in my briefcase couple extra pair of shorts. And I had a Vietnamese driver, a Jeep driver, and sometimes he couldn't stop the Jeep fast enough.
I can imagine, just constantly
And
got diarrhea.
I have those accidents, I just throw the stuff away.
Right.
And you know, within 72 hours after I hit back in the U.S. at the end of the tour, my stomach had cleared up, and just that fast. But then I came here and they had a pretty little lady that worked at the Air Command and Staff College administration. Her name was Bobby, and she seemed kind of receptive to attention, and I invited her to go out, and she said, well, I really can't do it. She says, I'm sort of spoken for, but she said, I have this friend. I have this friend, and they belong to an organization of women who threw parties for the young bachelor officers, or bachelor officers. And sometimes they'd get real bachelors, but a lot of times they got geographical bachelors. And they had to be careful there. Well, anyhow, I went to a party, and that's where I met Martha at one of those parties, because I got an invitation to go from the group. And Bobby saw to it that we got to meet each other. That's 49 years, well, the rest of it, we dated about a half a year, and when I I invited, Martha's working for Xerox Corporation in Montgomery. And I tried to get her transferred to Norfolk where I was gonna go on the ship. And oh, she didn't want to do it. I'm gonna go to Texas. I got a girlfriend out there who wants me to move out there with her. So I decided, well, maybe it's time to make it permanent so she'd go with me. And that's what we did.
Now, what year was that you married?
We were married and we've been married 49 years ago. We've been married 50 years this coming July.
So 65 or 67.
We married in 67, yeah.
Yeah, 67.
And we are now, we're in our 49th year, soon to be 50 years.
Yeah.